Hey guys, it is the DM Happy Hour podcast, short for digital marketing, but apparently that was taken. Sorry, other people that did that. The DM Happy Hour podcast with your host, Cynthia Sandwell, that's me, and Dre Sean Ryan, Dre
That's me.
Fax Ryan.
What's up?
You're supposed to say facts.
Facts.
So today's episode, like the way that we do things, we just like to keep things natural. We like to have real conversations at the end of the day. But we started, hypothesizing and brainstorming on some new ways to just up and up each and every episode that we do, just up and up, upping up, increasing the quality, upping up
of the podcast.
Of the podcast, like with a better layout. And so we're going to start this off just like hitting it up, or just starting it off with any news, big news that are coming, that's marketing related, digital marketing marketing. It's interchangeable at this point. And then just going off on a couple of topics based on questions that we received from the community. So guys, everyone that's listening to this podcast, in order to support it, in order for us to add more value to you, please ask us questions or give us, ideas for topics that you want to go over, things that if you're a marketer, or even if you're just like in marketing, branding as a designer. I know a couple of people that message me on Instagram. They actually do more branding, and they want to understand holistically like the digital marketing aspect of things, the performance marketing of things, to enhance their overall practices and maybe incorporate that into their agencies. Ask us questions,
Definitely. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, or you're on YouTube, or wherever you're at, and you're not in the Facebook group, go join the Facebook group right now so that you can ask us those questions.
Look at this marketer over here. Always be promoting.
Hey, we got to get the questions somehow.
Yeah, the saying, like, marketers ruin everything.
Yeah.
Do you think it's true?
To an extent, maybe.
I think it's true, but I think like real marketers, like we love Seth Godin.
Yeah,
like Seth Godin fans, right?
I feel like Seth Godin makes everything better.
yeah, he really does.
He's
like, just like
he's so profound.
Everything that he says, actually, when I was feeling. We'll get into some news in a second, but this is like a real thought. Like there were times in my career where I got really frustrated with like the technical parts of things, because learning, like Google ads can be a doozy, and just working with clients is annoying, especially if they're not good clients. And I noticed like a lot of times with agencies, they'll offload you an account that doesn't necessarily need PPC, or just like, you can't qualify the clients that fall in your lap a lot of times. So I'm dealing with a lot of just so much stress, and I didn't have the communication skills to like navigate that, or the negotiation skills and things like that. And my technical skills weren't up there either. But I was just like, damn, what am I doing this all for? And I would read a Seth Godin book. Like I read Purple Cow, and then I read This Is Marketing, and I was just like, this is why I love marketing. Like, it's not about the tools, they're tools, but at the end of the day, the big idea is really influencing people. And that gets into one of the topics that we're going to touch on.
For sure.
But before we do that, no,
news.
What were you going to say?
No, go.
Yeah,
let's go.
You start off. I'm talking too much. You start off.
So, not many major updates right now, but some of the stuff that I've noticed in the SEO land, or the SEO world, is the Google Passage indexing update that's going to be happening. I don't think they gave an official date of when they're going to roll this out, but essentially what it's going to be is Google is now going to be indexing specific passages of pages in the search results. And it's sort of similar. Think of it kind of like feature snippets, but they are different. They don't really elaborate on what makes them entirely different. They just say something like feature snippets are used for voice and passages aren't. But they look pretty similar visually. So if you were to Google, Google Passages, or Google like passage indexing, you would see what it looks like, and it looks sort of like a feature snippet. If you don't know what a feature snippet is, it's like whenever you're just Google it. You could do that, but It's just the box that you see when you're typing in a question and it comes up at the top of Google. So, for example, if you're typing how to tie your shoes, you might see like an answer and it's a snippet of text that's giving you the answer straightforward, right to the point. And so, passages are designed to be like that as well. But what this really shows is that Google is starting to get way more smarter and they're using natural language processing through the new algorithm that they just created, BERT, to understand how a web page is reading from a human's perspective. So they're basically trying to humanize it, because at the end of the day, users dictate the algorithm, right? And so Google is just trying to get smarter, and so they're constantly working to reinforce that. That being said, I see what my vision for this and how this is going to impact us is that everybody's so focused in SEO on getting a link, right? But this is a clear indicator towards a new normal. The new normal is, and this should, honestly, this is how I've been doing SEO since the time I probably started, to be honest. But it's really just thinking about users first and not thinking about just the algorithm, right?
Yep.
But now more and more SEOs are going to have to adapt to that. You can also see that prevalent in the other update that I was going to cover today, which is the page experience update. What Google's going to start doing is they have this new update that's going to look at these, specific signals, that's going to let them know and be able to help them understand how good the website is for a user, right? They call this core web vitals and or web core vitals. It's one of those. But
Wait, what is that? What is that exactly?
it's basically just like they're looking at certain metrics to understand how, like, for example, like how fast does this website load, but they're also looking at they're looking at the little things within that impacts the user experience. Like there's
Right,
this
that
thing
makes sense.
there's this thing called CLS, which stands for cumulative layout shift. And that's basically, when you're on a page
Hmm.
and like something's jumping around, like you ever seen that before? Like you're just scrolling on the page and something's jumping around.
Hmm.
That tells Google that this is a bad experience for a user, because nobody wants to see things jumping. Like if I'm scrolling on the page, I don't want to see like 10 things jumping in my face or like ads all over the place while I'm
Yeah.
scrolling on the page,
Or
right?
there's some websites that just have music, just like fashion
Yeah, it's
based
just
website that's
weird.
music blasting. Like I feel like that's such bad user experience. And I think
It,
that like there's a way I think well, I'm gonna ask you this afterwards. Continue.
um, nah, go ahead. I'm good.
I was gonna say like I think that also ties in so quality score. Quality score is a metric that we use to dictate essentially relevance. Like that's just another word for relevance within Google Ads, right? So
Hmm.
the higher your quality score for your individual ads or your individual keywords, and there's also like a hidden quality score in the back end of your account that you actually can't see, but Google has confirmed this. So your overall account quality score, that right there dictates relevance, and just basically a part of what adds to a higher quality score is your landing page experience, right? So that's
Hmm.
why, like, as someone who manages Google Ads and just in paid media especially, like also relates to Facebook, I always check page speed, because if page speed's too low, that's going to affect our ads in some kind of way. I mean, there's other things that I'm checking, like in case I want to verify that the keyword there's keywords that I'm targeting align with what's on the landing page, right? But I think it's
Hmm.
also quality, your page speed that dictates a little. There's a part of it, it's a fraction of it, the overall success of your ads on Google. So user experience, I mean, like that's at the end of the day what
It's
these platforms are trying to enhance, because the more people that use their platforms, the more money that they make, because now they can
exactly.
sell more ad slots,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
Speaking of that, what do you think about
And
the Instagram update? Or were you gonna say something else?
yeah, I was gonna say something. So, as far as the user experience, right, and stuff of that nature, what people need to realize is like that's always like, honestly, when we date back and we think about everything that marketing, like how marketing has transitioned and how like, because marketing is just marketing, right? But like from the very beginning, the
Mhm.
main purpose has always been to provide users with the best experience, right? Like we always wanted
Well,
to understand.
we'll take it a
We
step further. I think marketing is to communicate. a product in the best light, or to position a product in the best light to incentivize someone to buy, like with
Hmm.
toothpaste. Do you know the story behind toothpaste?
No.
So I think it was, where did I read this? The book. Okay, anyone listening to this, can you just get, I think it was
That,
Habits, something by Charles Duhigg. What is it? Habits, The Power of Habits, something like that. Okay, so he talks about he brings up an example of toothpaste, or the whole marketing campaign behind toothpaste. So toothpaste, you don't need like that minty freshness, right? You
yeah.
don't actually need that for it to be effective, for it to clean your teeth.
Hmm.
But they added that so people started getting that satisfaction and started building that habit of like, okay, when I feel the minty freshness, like, that's how I know my teeth are freaking just
Clean. Like, I
banging.
feel
Like, they're
good.
just like, I feel so good. I hear like the cling cling, like,
Right?
basically
Clean,
like
clean.
they created like a they use, it's crazy, like the huge, it's human, it's like behavioral psychology, like, and now it's even more advanced with how we're all addicted to our phones, we're
Yeah, it's
all addicted
crazy.
to these social platforms. I'm thoroughly addicted, and I'm actually trying to wean myself off, but like, the whole point is, what I'm trying to come across, or to bring across, is that marketing, the goal of that is to make something contagious.
Yeah.
That's like the basis and the premise behind the book Contagious.
Hmm.
But it's to influence someone to do something, to buy something, or to buy a service in some kind of way, to make it look sexy, to make it look cool, to communicate something, in
Hmm.
order to influence a behavior. Just like with toothpaste, they added that they use like behavioral psychology to get people to, whenever they use the product, whenever they use toothpaste, they feel a certain way, and like, oh, you feel that minty freshness, and they convince you to buy. Like, so
Yeah.
it just evolves to SEO, and like, you know online visibility and things like that.
And it's crazy because even in that scenario right there, you can see like how much that experience plays into things, right? Like the reason why we want to buy the toothpaste and we feel like we need that type of toothpaste because we want our breath to feel like it's fresh. We don't
And
want to
we
have
built a
like
habit, like that's
we
the
don't
whole
want
point
to
of the book. We built
we
that habit now.
we don't want like hot breath, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm trying to talk to a girl, I don't want to go up to her and my breath smelling crazy and I don't want to feel like my breath smelling crazy. You know what I'm saying? So,
It's a good thing we're on a Zoom call right now, because I'm pretty sure I'm drinking like this green juice. Like, you see me drinking it,
yeah.
and like, this shit tastes
You think
gross.
it has
I'm
your
pretty
breath smelling
sure, like,
crazy?
yeah, like, it's got kale, parsley, spinach, cucumber. My breath is hot, bro.
Hey, that's why you got the toothpaste at home though,
I know, that's
right?
why I have toothpaste. Thank God for marketers. They made toothpaste cool. They ruin everything, but they also make things cool.
That's funny.
Yeah,
So
I know, I know.
so
Wait. So
so
you
Instagram.
yeah. I feel like you were gonna say something before that, but I cut you off. This is a
No,
this
no,
is a
no.
free
That's
flowing
that's what
conversation. That was what you're gonna say.
that's what yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But I
That
want to
ties
hear go ahead.
that ties really nicely into like the overall topic that we wanted to talk about, which is believability. But let's table
Oh
that for
yeah.
right now and
Oh
talk
yeah.
about this horrible freaking Instagram update that I think is so horrible. I hate it.
So
I
I'm gonna
spent
let
like not 2 hours. I would say like a solid 15 minutes trying to figure out how to do an IG stories, because IG stories is like my art form. And if I can't IG story, like I can't exist. So shout outs to my IG. Follow me at thesinsanville.com. Shouts.
so wait, let's take a step back though. So
So shout out to my IG.
true marketer.
All right.
Wait, so like
Humanizing this shit.
even talking about Instagram, right? Like and stories, right? Like how because there was a time when there were no stories on Instagram. How has stories impacted how you have been using Instagram yourself? And before that, was Instagram boring to you? Do you feel like it really made a big, big difference for you since you love it so much?
The new update?
No, no, no. Just like historically, right? Like before there was no stories on Instagram, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there was a time when there was no stories, right? With
Right.
them adding that, how has that like changed your experience?
well, I got back on Instagram because I was on Snapchat for a minute.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, all right, Instagram has the same thing, so I might as well go on there.
Go on
And then
Instagram. Yeah,
I don't really open Snapchat anymore.
I don't use Snapchat at all.
But dude, the new update, like Shops is literally where the like button was. So it's like you've been trained all these past year, a
Mhm.
couple of years, I think, like to go to in order to go to your feed, you had to press that, or to see how many people liked your stuff, you would have to press that button specifically, but now it's Shops. So it's very obvious where Instagram's intentions are to get people to shop and to use that feature more so than anything.
Jeez.
And so if you have an e-com company, like this is a huge, first off, unprecedented times for e-commerce. What a great time to be in e-commerce. This is huge for e-commerce companies, I think, more than anything. Like it's just going to increase sales, especially, and it's you know why they did it this time? Because Q4 mayhem.
Yeah, yeah. That
Perfect
makes
time.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely a perfect time. And, you know, I have a video out on YouTube where I talk about I was actually just practicing my speech for the General Assembly in my talk, talking about like holiday hacks and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I go over the fact that like rising CPMs is not a bad thing if there's like 5 times the amount of conversion rate. You know, like
Right. Because
people
you make
now
it
more than
more.
ever
Yeah.
buy.
You make it more money.
Yeah. It's a
So
win. It's
exactly.
still a
Yeah, it's a
win.
win-win.
Now it's like
Uh,
everyone, if you're in e-commerce, the time to set up Instagram shops, the time to launch ads was yesterday. Creative
so
campaigns, creative promotions was yesterday. So Instagram shops, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about just like the updates in general on Instagram? Do you like have do you have a opinion on it? You're just like, oh, let's wait and see.
I'm yeah, like I just want to see what happens, you know. And I want to see what happens after this. So cuz from what I've read, it seems like they're testing it. So I want to see like if they keep it, and if they do, I want to see how that impacts everything for Instagram later on
Yeah,
down
the
the
whole
line.
user
Yeah,
experience.
exactly.
I think it's gonna, I don't know, so many people are complaining about it.
We'll see. People complain.
We'll see.
Here's the thing.
What is it? Not stories, but IGTV like did not perform nearly as well as they
Nah.
expected it to.
And you know, it's weird because whenever I always thought to myself, like, what am I going to use this for? Like, like honestly,
Well,
I was,
IGTV,
yeah, like I always thought to myself, like, what am I going to use IGTV for? Like,
it
I don't know.
tried to
I just,
compete with YouTube. Didn't
it's,
do a
it,
good job.
yeah, because like, first off, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have to upload stuff from my phone. I could probably upload stuff
No, you can upload from
from my
desktop.
computer, right?
Yeah.
But I can't really control as much, right?
Yeah,
As
you
my
can like through Creator Studio.
Oh, you can see, but don't you need
Yeah,
to have like a
Creator
certain
Studio.
amount of followers to see that?
No, I think anyone can have Creator
Really?
Studio. Yeah.
Okay, learn something new
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. I mean, like this is I feel like the plight of a lot of well, not every marketer, but you end up doing like a little bit of everything. So I had a stint where I kind of like did a little bit of social media
Yeah.
along with advertising. Because you know, you're running Facebook ads, you need to know the
Hmm.
platforms inside and
Hmm.
out. Like partially, part of it is organic. For your ads to perform well, you need to have like a decent page. You need to make sure if you're performing or if you're selling advertising as a service, like there's a couple of things that I make sure like the company that I'm working with has a community like a brand manager or some kind of community manager, right?
Yeah.
To respond to the comments on the ads because that leads to a better customer experience. It's all about user experience. Speaking of user experience, compared to Google, Facebook is just trash.
100%.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
all of my
Google's the
accounts
king of
went
that.
down.
I mean,
Google's so great.
Google's the king of that. They're always pushing that, and it's really interesting to see. I can't wait to see where can't speak where we'll be at 20 years from now. Every time, because honestly, like I think the way everything is happening, when you look at like we were talking about earlier, like AI and how it's impacting Google Ads, right? But
Oh
also like
yeah.
how it's impacting SEO and how it's impacting just everything as a whole. It's like everything is moving more towards a honestly, and I hate to keep saying this, but a more humanized like realm of
Safe,
of like
safe for the people in the back.
say it again.
No,
Wait,
it's a
what?
saying, dude. Are you such an SEO nerd that you've never heard of that? You've never heard of say it for the people in the back?
No.
No, you've never heard of that. So it's a saying that means like, yo, like you know how people say preach, like
Yeah, nah, I
say it
never
for the
heard
people
of
in the
it.
back.
No, I'm
Like
from the hood. I never heard of it.
I thought that like I've heard that from my community, which is
Nah,
predominantly
I never heard
from
nobody
hoodish areas.
say it for the people.
Say it
Damn,
for the
that's
people
crazy.
in the back. Yo,
Nah.
you're wild right now. You're wild. You're wild. You're wild.
Yo, all
But
right,
we were
but
talking about automation, and I just wildly cut you off in humanizing marketing. I think like that's why I love Seth Godin so much, because when
mhm.
everyone gets so caught up in the weeds and the technicals and things that don't push the needle,
He's thinking about the humans.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
he's
Like
thinking
the
about things
people.
holistically.
Yeah.
The
And that's
impact, long
important,
term game too. That's long term.
right? And honestly, that goes into what we wanted to speak about as well, kind of. I'm going to transition anyways.
Just do it.
Um believability, right? So like we were talking about believability, and it's super important because if you can be the smartest person in the world, or you can have the best product in the world, but if you can't get other people to believe, then really it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Like I watch battle rap. I love battle rap. I love to watch people battle against each other. There's so many great lyricists. There's so many different types of styles. But if I don't believe, like one of the things or one of the commonalities that you'll find amongst a lot of battle rappers is they like to rap about like, street stuff and like,
Like what kind of street
like
stuff, Dre?
illegal activities,
What
right?
kind of illegal activities, Dre? Can we talk about that in this podcast? Does it have anything to do with marijuana? Hey, marijuana is legal in New Jersey now, so
Hey,
not
so it's
even
legal to us.
free,
Um,
free my boys.
but like if two people are rapping and I don't believe, like if I believe someone more than the other person
Mhm.
and they're both rapping about like portraying the street life or something like that,
Yeah.
then that's gonna ultimately sway my decision in who I think won the battle, right? Like I showed you that battle the other day.
Yeah.
What's the guy's name? Sharon versus Geechee Gotti, right?
Yeah.
And I was showing Sin this because I'm like, yo, first off, I'm
Yeah,
just a
we should
battle
tell
rap
people
nerd.
like the actual background, because I feel like okay, we're in the topic and we're in the business right now with this podcast of trying to humanize performance marketing essentially, and data analytics and Google Analytics and just digital marketing as a whole. So I think in the spirit of that, we should tell like the basis behind that, like how we came about that whole entire conversation. And it was pretty
I,
powerful, actually.
I,
You were talking, I asked you, telling me your story. You were like I'm a paraphrase, right? And you
mm-hmm,
can jump in whenever.
mm-hmm,
You were telling me, Dre was telling me essentially his story and his background. He was like, yo, dude, it's crazy how I was, I was damn near homeless. And I was just like, dude, from what you're describing, it sounds like you were homeless, actually. You were just
yeah,
squatting in a house. Like, it sounds like you
yeah,
actually were homeless. Um, which is wild. But
it's crazy.
and I asked you, and I was like, from that entire experience, what did you learn? And then that's when you said like, I cannot depend on necessarily anyone, and it's my job to build my credibility. The reason why people didn't kind of forgot about me is because I made myself not important in a way. I didn't make myself important. So now that's kind of that powers as to why you work so hard in building perceived value, because
Uh-huh.
your perceived value that you build up is just as equal as the actual value you provide. A lot of people build up too much perceived value and not enough like legitimate value.
Right.
So, and then that's
100%.
when you touched on believability.
Yeah. And ultimately, like, it's just something that I live by. It's a rule that I live by. Like, at the end of it, and it's like you said, it's marketing. You know what I mean? Like, marketing is
That's when I brought
really,
it back. I was like, yo, this is great for
it's
the
crazy.
podcast, because this is essentially
Yeah.
what we do as marketers. We
It,
communicate, we build perceived value, we position products and services.
so I want to tell you a story, right? There was like, and I'm probably gonna butcher this story a little bit, but bear with me.
I
So
love it.
I was watching Q, my guy,
Yeah.
just Q,
Quentin
Quentin.
Allums.
Yeah, Quentin Allums, and he was giving a TED talk, and he was talking about how there was these kids. So he was telling a story about how these kids took a test, And after they took this test, like, it was at the school, and like all these kids took a test, and then like
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of kids were classified as special, like they were smarter than everybody else, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so because they were smarter than everybody else, um, everybody believed it. Like everybody was like, "Oh, the results came back, and we analyzed these kids, and these are the special kids. These are the kids that are really gonna make it. These are the kids that are just the most like. These are what we need to spend a lot of time on, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened was the teachers spent, the kids, they had phenomenal grades. They came out with the top grades in the school. They graduated, on time. They got scholarships. They did all this amazing stuff. They went out to
Mm-hmm.
become like really big people. But one thing that people didn't realize is like the test was a lie. The only reason why people did so well is because the teachers believed the story about those kids being special, and they spent more time educating those kids, and they were more patient with those kids because of the story that was told to them that they were more special than everybody else, right? And
Jeez.
because it's crazy
Damn.
because they
That's
believed
toxic.
Be-
That's
because,
toxic.
because they
Toxic
believed it
behavior.
though, right? Because they believed it,
Uh-huh.
it literally, those kids they went on to do amazing things, and the other kids just were like regular people. But that is the power of believability. That is the power of crafting a story and making
Storytelling,
somebody,
right?
yeah, and making somebody believe something, because you can literally dictate someone's actions based off of if they believe you or not. You know what I mean? Like it's wild.
Yeah. This is why I put like an emphasis on learning behavioral psychology. Like I think in the realm of digital marketing, especially with paid media or just advertising, online advertising, a good understanding of statistics is also like if you're looking to level up, like okay, the technical part, like you should probably have a good understanding of statistics, probability, so you can make some solid projections here and there. But the other aspect, which I think is more important if you just want to excel in your career or just in life, right? This is like a huge unlock in life. This is why what we do as coaches, I end up doing like business life coaching, even though I'm teaching
Same.
digital marketing. I just find myself in that realm, but I always ground it and anchor it with learning paid media.
Hmm.
But you learning how to convince people or just having the or just understanding how the brain works and understanding how culture works and understanding trends and understanding how to influence people is a powerful skill set. And I think it's probably one of the most important ones that I've really worked to craft at. I think I had a natural ability, like naturally,
Hmm.
I think I'm
Hmm.
pretty good at communicating. I love it. I'm very passionate about talking to people. I talk too much. That's why I'm doing this podcast. Yo, Joe, you be going off
Yeah,
sometime
I'll
too
be
on
going in. I'll be
IG
going
on the
in.
voice notes. I'm like, God
Nah.
damn,
Like,
there's
yo, shut
20
up,
notes.
dude. Shut
I'm like,
up.
wait, I'm trying to catch up. Um, but we're just like passionate communicators. But
Mhm.
like naturally, I think I have that ability. Even actually, I don't know. I kind of like go back and forth on that one because there was a time where I couldn't literally like shy Ronnie. Like you think I joke, but I couldn't speak to people. I was so shy. I was so shy. You don't believe
I
me at
can't
all.
imagine that. Like, I
I was
can't.
so shy. I told you like my first time I went on a client call with Isaac, like I like almost cried, I almost threw up and puked. And, like right after I was like I had to go for a walk and like I was hyperventilating. I was like on the verge of a panic attack just
Man,
getting on a call with a client. Now I do that like in my sleep.
but like
It's insane.
it's crazy because when you are newer and you are like talking to a client, right? I don't know why, but like a lot of the times it can seem pretty challenging, especially I think for me, right? When I started and I would get on calls and I would like feel kind of nervous and like have anxiety with talking to the client. It
Hmm.
was mainly because honestly, I felt like it was because I had people watching me. Like I had a boss that was watching me. I had
Yeah.
somebody watching me. If I
Judging
did it
you.
by yeah, like judging me and trying to see what I'm gonna say and how I'm gonna communicate it. Then on top of that, you gotta like make sure you're not saying the wrong thing because your boss is like right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like that is also why I always encourage people. to just freelance in the beginning, because like when you're freelancing or you're like getting your own clients, you can
Mhm.
just test the waters, say what you like. Obviously, don't say what you want, but take what I'm saying very lightly, right? Um,
But
don't
but I
just say
also
what you want.
to add that, yeah, don't say what you want. That's you're
Yeah.
gonna get fired. You're gonna get you're
Your
gonna get
ads
cursed
are
out. You're gonna get like
your
bad
ads
reviews
suck.
everywhere.
Your ads suck. I need to
Like,
spend $20 million on ads. Don't do
someone
that.
literally told me something like that once, but I told you this story.
Yeah.
Anyways, so here's the thing. This is actually what like Seth Godin was talking about in the interview that I sent you. And
Mhm.
you message me if you want to listen to this interview. It's an incredible interview, or message Dre. Um, he talks about imposter syndrome and
Yeah.
how imposter syndrome is actually kind of, what's the word, nourished
Yeah.
or fostered in a workplace, simply because in a company, you're working with a good company when they actually allow you to make mistakes. Obviously they're strategic in how they let you make mistakes. Like he gave the
Hmm.
example of like, this is what you should do, and this is what I do
Yeah.
when I work with contractors now. Like what you should do is just like, hey, I have 100 emails of very
Yep.
warm customers. They're very loyal customers. I know whatever you say is not going to really shake them. So here, test out some sales calls with them. This is something that I think he said he did. Test out some sales scripts with them and see how that work and experiment, right? That's
Hmm.
a good company. That's a good client. That's a good leader. And I try and foster a very similar environment with everyone I work with. And then like I'll give them work, and then if it works out, like we'll keep it going. Like, but
Yep.
I always want you to be able to test and to be curious, because that's what's that that right there makes the best marketer. So if you have some kind of like micromanager that doesn't allow you or feel safe to test out these ideas or whatever, that's really stifling. Or even if you have a client, like I've had clients that didn't allow me to test certain things out. And I was just telling you about a client right before this, we were recording this podcast. Like we're on track to make 60K today, which is groundbreaking. Maybe 70, who knows,
And it's
if not
crazy,
over. But the
it's
reason why, let me finish this,
yeah,
just
yeah, go ahead,
one
go ahead.
statement. The
I'm gonna
reason
let you
why
land.
is,
I'm gonna let you land.
yeah, thank you. The reason why is because me and the client has so much trust in me. And I
Hmm.
worked very hard to build that trust. That's also another secret that I kind of teach, like the power of onboarding properly and building the right communication systems with the client. But listen, I did all of that correctly, and the client has a lot of trust in me. So I'm able to say crazy things, not necessarily crazy. I obviously have data to back it up, but they're just like,
Hmm.
okay, let's test it. And because we have that relationship, we yield the most incredible results. And that's generally the kind of relationship I like to foster with all my clients. Otherwise, it's not working. Even with my coaching clients, like if
Hmm.
you don't take the time to actually implement what I say or believe what I say, like then this is not going to work out for us. And I don't really need you, to be honest. But and that comes, like, let's bring it full circle, the power of believability, the power of perceived value,
Yep.
building all of that. That's usually if you're a marketer or any kind of professional, the next step in your career outside of your 9 to 5, if you're working a 9 to 5, is to build that perceived value up.
And
It's kind
here's
of
the
like diversifying your income in a way.
think
Go.
about it like this. Here's the most wild thing. I once had when very early in my career, I was kind of good because I did a lot of research on stuff. So like I would fact check certain things, and I once had a supervisor who was literally wrong about majority of everything that he
He was a
said.
bitch.
And yeah, and like and like the problem was he like and I'm talking about somebody else. But I'm yeah, yeah. The
Oh.
problem was the problem
Okay.
was but she was though. She was.
Yeah, she was.
The problem though was like he or I guess it wasn't a problem for him because like he spoke with such authority and such believability that
Mhm.
it didn't matter if he didn't know what the hell he was doing because he knew how to communicate it. Like he knew how to like make it sound good. You know what I mean? Like he just go in the room and he start talking really loud and like and then
Mhm.
everybody would listen. You know what I mean? Not me because I knew he was like
Full of shit.
dumb, but like he was really good at manipulating and he knew that. Like he
Mhm.
knew that. You know what I mean? And and so like that is one thing that I learned from him it's like, okay, you can be like, I knew more than him. I knew for a fact that I knew more than him,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't a better communicator than him. I
Yep.
wasn't more believable than him.
I've
So
also found that in my career, like
you
where
you
I
seen that,
know a
right?
lot of like textbook stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but because I don't know how to present it well, this is like
Mm-hmm.
the difference between a rookie though and
Mm-hmm.
like a
That's true.
professional. Like the rookie might overcompensate with all the technical knowledge, but it means
Mm-hmm.
nothing if you can't communicate
If
it
you
well.
can't,
This is why
nope.
it's like, yo, you need to be able to have really great presentations. This is how you create a presentation. You know, this is how you talk about your strategy. Like when I talk to my clients, and this is what I emphasize, like with the people that I work with that are looking to freelance and to build like their own little agency, you need to make sure that you're packaging information in a way that shows that you're thinking about strategy first, high level stuff, and then this is the overall strategy. This is the idea behind X, Y, and Z. This is the thought process behind X, Y, and Z, and then execute. You know, like so then they're
Right.
just like, wow, I really appreciate the thought that you put
Yep.
around this, and that's the differentiating factor between you and someone they can hire on like Upwork. You know, like no
Yep.
one. I don't do Upwork. I don't. I'm at a point where I never did Upwork. That you said you did
I
once,
I
and it was
did
horrible.
once and it was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
but there's some
terrible.
people that do find like there's a strategy if you do use Upwork, you really need to work to get them out of Upwork. But
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I did. That's what I did with the client that I got from Upwork. But he was a cool guy. He Let me not say he was a terrible client. And that's one thing you have to realize too. You have to realize when you're the person making the mistake, right? This was my mistake.
even
He
if
was
the
a cool.
client was terrible, you were probably terrible with dealing with the terrible client.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was terrible at it because like he was like one of the first like people that I worked with,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was weird because like yeah, I got him off of Upwork. I didn't even expect to get. I didn't even have to really do any sales. Like we just got on a phone call, and he saw my proposal or whatever, and it was like not even like a good proposal. It was just like, hey man, I can fix this and this. That's literally it. Then he like messaged me, and he was like, hey, let's jump on a call. So we got on a phone call. I told him, yeah, I can fix this. Like I was super like too technical, and he was just like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, you can fix that. Okay. um he was like, yeah, I want
That's
to work
me.
with you.
That's me when you talk to me about like high level or like serious technical SEO. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, cool,
yeah, that
great,
is you. He's
cool.
like, he's
Index
like, yeah, yeah.
passages,
He's
wonderful.
like, he's like, yeah, yeah, whatever. Like, okay, cool. You can fix that. All right. He's like, how much do you charge? And I'm like, at the time, I was like, I was trying to be strategic. I'm like, yo, you know what?
$1 million an hour?
I was like, you can pay. This is what I said. I was like, you can pay me $500 in the beginning of the month and $500 at the end of the. I don't know why I thought that was strategic. I don't know what I thought I was
You
doing.
tried it. You tried it
But
though.
yeah, I tried it. I
You
was like,
tried it.
whatever. So then what happened was whenever he would submit his first payment, I had no problem. Like he was great with the first payment. It was the last payment. I had to chase him down. And the thing is, to give you some context, guys, he was a lawyer. So like I'm chasing down a lawyer, like, hey man, like I'm
Mm.
not trying to be too pushy, but like I want to get paid, bro. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
But
yeah.
here's the thing, like that was my problem. That was a problem that I could have easily. He would have been an amazing client without that. If I would have just told him $1,000 a month, pay me up front on a retainer basis, that
Mm-hmm.
there would have been no issue, right?
Yeah.
And then he wanted to bring me on to more projects, but I couldn't work with him with what I had already
Yep.
established. You know what I mean? I didn't want to work on more projects for him because at that point I was like, damn, he's a terrible client.
Salty. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was my fault. You know what I mean? And you have to be able to understand when you're the person who makes the mistakes, even from things like that. Like your pricing can be a huge mistake on your part because that is something, or the way, not pricing, but the way that you're pricing, the way that you're charging, right? It
Yeah.
could be
Your
a huge
pricing
mistake on,
fees.
yeah, your pricing fees. It could be a huge mistake on your part if you're not doing the right I can't speak.
Due
Due
diligence.
diligence. Say that 5 times fastly.
Due diligence.
Uh,
Due diligence. Due diligence. No,
all
I
right.
can't do it.
So,
Go.
so, so yeah.
You tell
So
me to do something, I'll do it.
I, I I said he was a terrible client, but
Yeah.
really I was a terrible uh mark consultant, right? I was a terrible consultant because I did that to
But you were
myself.
figuring it out though.
I
Like
was. I
that's
was.
how we all kind of figure it out. I'm like,
Yeah.
how about you pay me in some pennies and we'll figure it out. Pay me in a pack of gum. We'll see. Like I've been there.
Yeah.
But I think I said pricing. I said like pricing fees, like that. Literally, I just said that before. I was like, it's called pricing fees. I mean,
Yeah.
I literally that means the same thing twice. I meant to say pricing strategy or pricing packages or pricing structures. I don't know. There's so many
Mhm.
words for it, but pricing fees
Yeah.
is definitely not the way to describe that. Yeah, and also onboarding. Like for me, the most important dance initially with a client is onboarding,
A hundred
and I
percent.
see it very similar to dating even, like you
Yeah.
need to be on your P's and Q's when you're dating initially, you want to
Yep.
show your best light,
Yep.
position yourself accordingly, get comfortable, and then you can start, getting more loose and all that stuff. And that's like when now I'm at a point with like a client that I recently onboarded, like we just get straight to the point. We even preface it by saying, um, well, he prefaced it initially, and then I'll preface it now. He'll say something like, listen, we don't have to be overly formal, and I want to speak to you, like as someone who, as a person that's working with us as a partner on our account. And then I'll say the same thing back to them and be like, listen, we don't have to be overly structured or overly, you know getting in the weeds per se, but I just want to speak to you directly, and this is how I work, and blah 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 blah. And I actually told
Mhm.
them that, and their rebuttal was, because we had an issue with communication, and their rebuttal was like, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't I didn't know, like that makes sense. And I was just like, yeah, bro, of course. But no, it's like you can mold the perfect client, and I've seen it
Yeah,
time
I
and
agree.
again, time and time again. It's just like you need to be willing to be committed and putting the work. It's not like an overnight thing.
Yep.
um and even it leads to like this mindset that I have with clients. Like my mindset with managing clients is like being the one to constantly deliver, not one, clarity, and two, reality checks. Like I
Right.
need to constantly check you into where you're at, like that doesn't make sense. Let me steer
Right.
you in this position, like you have to have kind of like chutzpah to really say that with a client. And and they admire
Right.
you for that. Like that's
Yep.
why I can charge what I charge, because
They'll
they're just like,
trust you
dang,
more. Yeah, they'll trust you more
that's
because
comes to like building that believability and the perceived value in a way,
yep,
because you're
yep,
not afraid to
to
fail.
yep,
You're
yep.
just like, fuck it.
And a lot of the times too, you have to ask like the hard questions and the tough questions because nobody else is doing it,
All the
right?
time you have to, I
Yeah,
think, like
exactly.
that's the
Because no,
work that everyone's avoiding because they're
yeah.
lazy, they're not committed, they're lazy, unfortunately.
And when that happens, it sets you up for failure. So when you start asking those tough questions from the beginning, you get clarity from the beginning. It sets you up to achieve success for that client, and that's why you have to do that. Like I remember earlier on in my in my career, just with clients in general, freelancing, blah blah blah. I used to be afraid to ask people like, yo, what's your budget? Like, how much money can you
Same.
allocate? Yeah, like how much money can you allocate to your content marketing, or like how much money can you allocate to this thing? And I used to feel like that wasn't my place. Like I used to feel like, why am I asking them that? Like they have to tell me. And then after a while, I started realizing
No.
like, no,
Yeah.
like what? No, you need to tell me how much you can spend so I can know what I can do for you, if it makes sense, if it's a good business decision, right?
Hmm.
Like, so that we can determine how we're going to get the best results. Because at the end of the day, if you go in there and you just allow them to control you, in that relationship,
Ooh.
then then it's not going to turn out well, right? It's not going to turn out well
Yeah.
because you have to be you're the expert. They came to you for a specific reason. You know what I mean? And sometimes you have to, honestly, all the time when necessary, you have to show that. You have to show that expertise. Like, this is why you hired me. I'm
Hmm.
trying to help you. We are partners in this. We're not. I don't work for you. I
Hmm.
work with you. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
And so that's really important.
And I do that all the way down to the way I speak to the client, everything. And it's like it's genuine. It's not like I'm being, it's obviously a lot of it's intentional, but it's also genuine. Here's the thing that people ask me a lot, like the difference between getting a job or working a job and freelancing. This is why I can't really relate to 9 to 5ers too much, or people that just work in general or rely on that as an we're just in different worlds. It's
Yeah, it's
hard because
different.
I'm not thinking structured the way that they are, black and
Nah.
white. So here's the thing: in our worlds as business owners, we are thinking, we make the rules,
Yep.
right? We don't just follow rules. That's the
Yep.
thing that I'm constantly working with people on developing. Listen, you develop your own rules, and you test, and you have to have the balls, or, I don't know if that's politically incorrect, but I've said a lot of politically incorrect things already. You have to have the chutzpah, that sounds a little cooler, to actually try new things, to test new things, to test new pricing. Like initially starting off, like when I was freelancing, and I even still do this with clients, like I'll do free work, but it's not necessarily free. There's a value exchange there, right? But you have to be willing to take those risks. You have to make the rules. No one tells you. Like, you have to assess the situation. You have to be super contextual. Like I see it very much like my father was in the military. So he's always taught me like how to always check the exits, be prepared, like just certain things. Like when I'm walking down the street, if I have my keys and I don't feel safe, like listen to my gut. And like I would always have my keys in in between my fingers, just in case, like scratch out the eyes, kick in the groin. Like I have all these things in mind, and it's just natural. It's just how I move. Like just in case, you never know.
Dangerous.
I know. That's just how my dad raised me, like, and also my uncles. So like I'm always thinking about these things. I'm always very contextual how to, or like I'm just trying to always assess the landscape, right? So every situation that you're in, you need to assess each and every variable, all that landscape, everything in the every little moving part you need to understand, right? And then from there, that's how you make the right decision. And it's the same thing when it comes to a client. That's why it's like, that's the difference between probably coaching and a course. A course is not very contextual. It tells you something. And now you have to use that tool to fit into your overall plan. But some people don't even know how to even get to an overall plan. But like my final thought, because I'm rambling, but the whole point is like, when you want to, what was I saying before?
You were saying
contextual. Getting super contextual.
Yeah.
Stabbing dudes with my keys. No.
I'm lost.
No. Contextual. There's something before that.
You was talking about like that's what you tell clients and controlling the landscape.
Oh,
and...
yeah. Okay,
yeah. Let's go. Yeah.
Okay, we're closing it in. Okay, so when you're building, when you're working with a client, like not everything is black and white, right?
Yeah.
And when you're working on your own business, even like there's no rules. You set them for yourself, and the way that you set the rules is like you have a deep understanding of the rules. You take that into account, plus the landscape that you're in, plus all those variables, and then you move accordingly. That means sometimes breaking the rules, but you're doing so very intentionally, and not necessarily breaking them. You're just mending them. That's why we mend, amendments.
But I think like, to me, that's what makes it fun, right? Like,
I have so much fun doing that.
But I think that's how you know when you're like a true entrepreneur at heart. Like, that you're a true entrepreneur, or a true, like, you're not
leader.
supposed to be within a job.
Yeah,
like you're not supposed to be in a job, right? When you realize that when you are in a job and like you have to follow these specific rules of how to do, this thing and this thing, and then you start to, first it's like, okay, cool, like I'm understanding your process, I'm getting it, but then you start to like say, wait, this can be improved, and then this can be improved. But everybody just wants to keep following the same system because it's something that they've had for years, and you're just getting crazy in your mind, like, why am I doing this? And that's when you start to realize, like, when you have to create the rules, that's when it's fun, because like, how you want to improve things, how you want to make things better. And I think that, honestly, that is, in my opinion, what helps you to level up even faster within your journey, right? Because when you're constantly the creativity aspect of just being able to take control and develop what you want, because you can test so much more stuff and fail, right?
Would you say it's like just taking risks, like that part?
Not
deeper.
It's just more like taking risk. Exactly. Pretty much the ability to step away from just one way of doing things and creating multiple ways of doing things, and then testing to see what works the best for you, but then refining that, right? Because I think that that's the best way to do it. Like, obviously you find certain things that you get in the flow with, but if you continue to stay, like, there's always going to be a way to optimize. There's always going to be a way to make something better. And I ultimately think that helps you level up, because when you're identifying the gaps and the failures and the things that need to be improved, you're thinking more deeply about what it is that you're doing, and you have a more, you have a deeper understanding of what it is that you're trying to achieve, because you've went through so many different variations of the thing that you're creating. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Like you have a nuanced approach. That makes the
Right.
best marketers, in my opinion, because this is literally how I optimize an account. I
Yep.
look for holes, look for gaps, what can it be improved, or like I'll, based on like a kind of hypotheses that I already set out in the account. Did that work? Did that audience work? Did this keyword work? No. What can I refine? Like, how can I improve this? Like, constantly going forward with like a curiosity mindset, or just being extremely curious, right?
Yep.
That's what makes the best marketers. And that's like in this age of automation, right? Automation
Hmm.
and machine learning, those are the marketers that are going to survive, you know
100%.
not the ones that are still manually bidding. And not that that's a wrong thing. Sometimes I still use manual bidding in some of my accounts, mostly smart bidding or automated bidding.
Hmm.
But I still use it because sometimes like budget is, I need to control everything.
Hmm.
um like the marketers that are just constantly going in there and like, let me increase by 5% and decrease on all, a lower bid adjustment on all mobile devices by 5% because of this formula that I laid out. Not to say that's not important. It's just like, if you're not thinking big picture, if you're too in the weeds, like you're probably going to get weeded out as a marketer.
100. That's
Yeah.
like the best. That's like the perfect way to say it, honestly.
It's
Yeah.
everyone's like afraid, like, oh, AI is like, no, this is where we rise. This is where we like,
AI is gonna make it better. Like I
in
think
my
AI,
opinion, yeah.
yeah, like it's gonna make things evolve, and all of the like monotonous things that we have to focus on, especially like, I don't know, like I seen this tool the other day, like in the SEO realm, right? I seen
Hmm.
this tool the other day where it's like you can put in certain like words or certain things about something that you're trying to create, like a brief, like if you're
Oh,
trying to create
copy
a,
AI.
no, no, not that. It's
uh,
something else. But it will create. I forgot the name of it, but it will create like an entire brief for a writer
Damn,
for you,
that's
and that is so useful in SEO, because when you're trying to rank for a specific term, there's a lot of different things that go into trying to do that. But
hmm
like when you can just focus on, all right, I can have this thing write out exactly what needs to be said, the topics, how it needs to be said, how it needs to be communicated, the voice, blah blah blah, and it knows this based off of like certain data that you're giving it, and it's doing
hmm
that part for you, that you can focus on the other stuff that actually matters, the other stuff that's
yeah.
actually going to move the needle. And I think
I call those
people,
bugs big swingers, like big
right.
swing, like when you're A/B testing, you like want to go first for the big swingers, like you want to make a
Mhm.
big swing so you can have the highest lift.
Right. Like people are always saying like, "Oh, what's the best SEO tools?" I think the best SEO tools are the ones that have like some sort of machine learning AI in it, that is making the monotonous tasks that you have to deal with on a daily
Right.
basis, like you're it's eliminating that for you. Those are the best tools to me, because it allows you to spend your time better. And as we know, time is very important, right? Like
hmm
how you spend your time on a daily basis can make or break something, or make or
hmm
break you, right? And it's super important. So I think overall, like, people need to be more excited about the future of, of technology, and just like of
Yeah.
AI and everything that's coming out, and where it's going. It's not gonna, the people that are gonna get eliminated, in my opinion, by this are the people, like you said, who focus too much on like
Technicals.
the technical stuff. Like if you just think about the big picture, and the mission and what the company is trying to accomplish, and you know how to package that into like a holistic strategy, and you know
hmm
how to think, if you have like,
You
if
know
you
how
have
to
an understand,
sell.
yeah, if you know how to
Like
sell,
solve a
you
problem, a business
exactly,
problem.
you have nothing to worry about if you can do that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if you can't, then you better start figuring out right now. Stop trying to solve problems for the algorithm. Stop trying to solve this. Like,
Yeah.
yo, I need, I need 4,000 back. Like, stop doing that. Stop that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need 4,000 backlinks. Like, chill. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, it's
yeah.
really intense. Like even all of my optimizations, like yeah, I use Google Sheets. I use a combination of like Google Sheets and like Data Studio for reporting. But now
Mhm.
I'm just like, honestly, all of the optimizations and all the cool charts with the improvements of the whole interface, Google Ads interface, like speaking specifically to Google Ads. I just do it all within the account. Like the
Yo,
charts feature, like everything is so great. And most advertisers, like high end that I'm speaking to, like they all just like, yeah, I don't really do that either. Like I'm just optimizing in the accounts, and I'm like,
yo,
yeah, right. Like I don't even use Google, like ads editor. I don't think some people still use it, and it makes sense if you're like managing like 100 accounts, maybe. But like you can copy and paste things with like it's. I love the update. Like ever since that, oh, it's so great. Like I love it. The visualization is so awesome.
yo, it's funny that you say that because like everybody's always like, man, I need to create this report and I need to put it in Excel and have all these numbers and all this stuff and
I
show.
kind
It's
of do
like,
that too. I'm not gonna lie.
but like for
I have
SEO,
to.
but for SEO, like if you're looking at how much traffic they got to the website, which is something that a lot of people are gonna look at, right?
Right.
You don't need to do that. You want to show that to the client? Take a screenshot.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
this is like why are you like why are you like
Yeah. People
taking
complicate it a
yeah,
lot.
why why are you
They go
taking
hard.
like all of this data from like the last like whatever, right? And then you're taking it and you're stuffing it in, and then you're like, yeah, the YOY value of blah blah. Like, shut up! Like, stop
Yo, I
doing that.
remember once, like, not like initially I was like, what does YOY stand for? Like yellow on yellow? Like, what does that mean? But now I'm a big boy marketer now. So like when I run
Yellow,
reports,
yellow.
I like to do like year over year analyses too, but just like to have greater context, cuz my goal with reporting is to show our success and where we've really moved the needle. So that's the point of reporting. And so I actually get really creative with reporting, and I think reporting is every marketer's pain point, especially when it comes to Facebook ads, because it's hard to report like the success of a specific creative, because the success of the specific creative really is contextual to what audience you were targeting, right? Because
Yeah.
a creative that performs really well for like lookalike audiences might not perform for something like an interest based. So that's the hardest. That's really tough. But yeah, I do get a little nerdy with reporting sometimes, and it's just like I just want to show in a creative way how we're moving the needle, but I don't really talk about my goal is to bring in context of what we're doing in the platforms and what's happening in the business. So that's what my reporting will show. They're more meaningful in that sense.
Mhm.
Um,
Like literally, like now with like how I'm talking to my client right now, if they want to know something, hey, let's get on a phone call. Okay, cool. I'll show it to them. I'll break it
I
down. I'll
screen
record
share all
it.
the time.
Yeah, I'll record it.
Zoom
Hey,
video.
this is what's happening. This is what I'm seeing. This is the problems. We have like all these tools that track all of this stuff. I'm
Hmm.
like, why am I spending time taking this from here and this from here? What like I
Yeah.
know where it's all at. I can show you it. And it's not hard for me to articulate this to you and make sure that you understand what's going on. And then after the call, you have the video in case you ever want to watch it again. If you need more context or you want to ask me a question, ask me a question. I'm fine with that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like,
Clients actually really like they actually, so the way that I do honest reporting, and I like to think like reporting and just managing the account, like I'm very hands on. The way that
mhm,
I manage the account, and I actually like really approach it like business consulting, they love that. They're like, wow, that's awesome. You know, like they've never received that from an agency.
mhm,
So it's like the way I deliver the work is they're just
mhm,
like, wow, this is like actually having like a pocket CMO. And I'm just like,
mhm.
that's what I want you to believe. No, but it's actually true. It's true. Like that's just my approach. Like if I'm gonna make impact within one area, it can't be siloed.
Right.
And you still like take into account everything. That's why I really vouch for like omni-channel approaches and holistic.
Yeah.
This is one quote that I like from this article. Tell me how you feel about it. Let me know how you feel. The erosion of hyper specific user level targeting, this is mostly referring to PPC, Google
Mhm,
Ads, of
mhm.
hyper specific user level targeting will push more advertisers back to contextual targeting methods and raise the importance of compelling creative.
Love it.
That's just like the rise of the
Yeah.
strategist, the
It's
creative strategist right here.
that's that's what we're gonna thrive off
Dude,
of. I
this is
mean, we're
why I'm such a great marketer and why I've like tripled or quadrupled my business like on the agency side of things, because I'm a creative at heart and I just
mhm.
learned how to use these tools. I learned statistics, I learned like math.
Yo, so
I'm a creative at heart.
wait. Fun fact. So
What?
For the last, I mean, you know this, but nobody else knows this because I
Uh-oh.
told you this, and then you were like, you'll know what I'm talking about when I get into
Uh-oh.
it.
Confession hour.
So,
Now we got to change
so
this to the digital marketing confession hour.
for the last couple years, I thought I was like I thought I was not creative at all.
Oh
Honestly,
my
like
God. I remember when you
I
told
th-
me this, I was like, are you dumb?
I'm like, yo, I don't have no type of creativity. I'm just like, like I'm just like very logical and just looking at
No.
like certain things,
I
and
mean, you
then
are logical, but you balance that out
right,
very intensely.
like after a while when like especially would just leave it like quitting my job, like it's even more prevalent now because every day I'm a lot of you not like every day I'll hit Cynthia up with a new idea. Hey, like every
Like,
hour
how do you
probably
do this?
I'm like,
Oh my
yo,
God.
we need to do this. Like this is this and this is that and this is
I'd be hitting
cool.
you up with ideas too.
Nah, you
Yeah, yeah,
do,
yeah.
but
I
it's
think
just
yours
like
is on. You do it a lot. I'm like, whoa, I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to breathe. Oh my
and I know
God.
it's like annoying. It can
No,
be
no, no. It's very valuable.
yo,
just making jokes. Jokes
I
and jokes and
swear, like
jokes.
I like it's just like idea after idea after idea after idea, and I don't know,
I
but it
thrive
makes
off of that
sense though.
though.
Yeah, me too.
I
Cause
need that. That's why that's one of the perks of I mean, that's one of the perks of working in a team. That's what I don't like about remote
yeah,
work a little bit. That like
mhm,
I think there's more pros and cons for me personally, but like just that brainstorming aspect of being around
mhm,
people and working with people. That's why I love marketing because I'm like actually making connections. Like my philosophy with marketing is or with online advertising is, targeting the right people at the right time with the right messaging, the right
yep,
creative. That's literally
yep,
that's like why my logo is like that little the thing, like the
yeah.
little Venn diagram,
Look,
I guess.
I always wondered that too.
Yeah, that's because I see it as like my whole approach is very like alignment, like
Yeah.
this is, I don't have to, I'm not trying to be sleazy. That's not my
Mhm,
goal. My goal is to
mhm,
really position your brand in front of the right people. Like, for example,
mhm,
with one of my clients, I think I can talk about this, FE desks, they're electric standing desks, right? I told
mhm,
you this earlier, like my goal with working with that brand, um, is to highlight the brand through advertising as Canada's number one. Every other competitor is really going hard at, speaking to everyone in the United States and different states and even worldwide.
mhm,
But we're focusing really on making our Canadians productive, especially serving them at this time where, work from home is widely encouraged. And we want you to be safe and we want you to be productive, Canadians. We're speaking directly to you. So, like, that was my whole approach with the brands. And they wanted to go global. I was like, no, there's so much to tap into here.
mhm. No, that
Stick it,
makes
stick
sense.
home. So that's the creative part of that's why I love what I do. Like, I just love it.
I love that.
I'm passionate about it, but
Yeah.
like there are some brands that are. I don't know if we could talk about it here, but
And honestly, see, and that's why I like working with like media. Like I like personally, I like working with like medium sized companies
same.
because when you're
Not
working
too
with like
small.
yeah, not too small, but like big enough. I don't like
Mhm.
working with like the big brands really because like
Too corporate.
it's too corporate. It's too many rules. It's like I can't use the word bad on my website. ADA compliance, like
Yep.
ADA is a thing, but like for every website really. But still, it's just like all this stuff you got to worry about, and like you just can't the strategy that you want to craft. You can't really bring it to
Can't
fruition
have
like you would want.
fun.
No,
Yeah, you can't
it's
fail and like
it's too
there's
restricted.
something like with startups that build enough revenue like that can
Yeah,
spend over like honestly accounts that can spend over 50. Honestly, 50K is like really fun for me. 20K is
right.
cool, but 50K over 50K is like, yeah, now we can test and have fun and like
Just right.
but like here another misconception. Like this is random, but not random. Like people think with PPC or paid media, they're like, "Oh, we're going to get results right away." Right? That's why it's so much better than SEO. I'm like, "No. Yeah, you're going to get results, but they're not going to be meaningful. We have to learn. Like there's some time. You got to have to burn through some stuff to learn." That's the whole
Mm-hmm,
point, when you're scaling, you sacrifice CPA, you sacrifice profit sometimes, and depending
mm-hmm,
on your scaling strategy, if you're testing new waters, new audiences, right? There's a certain risk that you take, but you have to have the chutzpah because I don't want to say balls anymore, even though I just said it. You have to have the chutzpah to like test and try new creatives, try new keywords, try new campaigns, test discovery ads, test like
mm-hmm.
YouTube advertising,
Test
test like
everything.
in-market audiences. Yeah, it's just testing. Like the best
Yep.
marketers just have the chutzpah to test.
Yo, just say balls.
Balls. I like chutzpah because like I used to work with Jews, so I like the
Chutzpah.
part, the chutzpah. No, you really have to
I
like
can't
say
say
it
that.
with your
I
chest.
can't. I can't.
Chutzpah.
Hus. Hus. I
Chutzpah.
can't.
You gotta like have some phlegm.
Husband.
Oh
I
God!
sound like I'm
Ew.
dying. I
Yo,
sound like I'm dying.
We're gonna be like, all right, that's enough for
Like,
this podcast.
yo.
They're clearly drunk.
Hey, this is the digital marketing happy hour.
We're happy and we're not drunk. We
No, we're
need
not.
to invite some
People.
alcohol.
No,
Oh,
we
okay,
need to
that
invite.
too.
We need to invite people and
Ooh,
then invite
alcohol.
alcohol.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, let us know who you want us to interview on this show, on this podcast. Let us know. We'll give you some we'll get some cool people on. Dre's has some really cool people on his he's trying to get Seth Godin.
Yo,
we
really?
need to
Yeah,
work a little harder.
Word.
Yeah, he
Yo,
went straight for it. But I love that you have like these audacious, like you're just like, I'm like, bro,
I'm
you need to take a
wildin'.
step back. I work
Yo,
with Damon John. I know how that's this is kind of hard.
I'm walling. I'm just like, you know what? With my luck, I'm gonna try it. Like
That's why you're a good marketer, though.
testing.
You have the chutzpah. Chutzpah. That's going to be the name of this, the title of this episode.
How do you even
best
spell that?
marketers have chutzpah. I don't know. I think it's a CH, like Hanukkah. Yo, shout out to my Jews out there.
Chutzpah.
Chutzpah. Shout out to my Jews. Straight up. Yeah, it's chutzpah. It's CHUTZPAH. Chutzpah. But actually in Hebrew, it's like, yeah, it's chutzpah. Is the quality of audacity for good or for bad. You just like you have cojones in Espanol. You have big cojones. So that's gonna be the name of this episode. The best marketers have chutzpah.
Dre can't say
why the best marketers have chutzpah.
Dre can't say chutzpah.
He sounds like he's saying HubSpot with a like British accent.
Right? HubSpot. Yo, shout out to HubSpot.
Shout out to HubSpot. Sponsor our show. Shout out.
Right? Yeah, sponsor us.
Sponsor our show. I'll figure out how to use it. I don't really use HubSpot. We could shout out the certifications. I actually use get people to certify. Oh, for a CRM or like email?
Well, my client uses it. Yeah, so I look at like that's where I see all their data and stuff.
That's pretty dope.
HubSpot, there are some stuff that you need to improve. You want to hit me up?
Yeah. We're trying to get sponsored by HubSpot. Chill. Also, another one, Klaviyo. Klaviyo is one of the best email providing softwares for e-commerce. We are currently not sponsored, but Klaviyo.
Hit us up.
Hit us up. Let's work something out. Have my people talk to your people. And by my people, I mean
wait a minute.
My assistant. Wait, what?
Wait a minute. How are we gonna forget about the one
MailChimp?
The only No.
I hate MailChimp. Honeybook.
If you are watching this, hi. I wrote on your website.
This guy is real.
Sponsor us.
We actually okay, so no bullshit. We actually use Honeybook. I use it for I actually use it. I built it in for my proposals for paid media, and then I also use it for coaching and for just like consulting in general. I use Chutzpah. Chutzpah. I use Honeybook. All these H's, dude.
Right.
But yeah, Honeybook needs to okay, new goal alert.
Sponsor by Honeybook.
Write it down.
Get sponsored by Honeybook.
This is a podcast. Future sponsored by Honeybook. I claim it.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
An intention. I think. How long have we been talking? We've been talking.
Like almost 2 hours.
No.
Maybe like an hour and some change.
I think this is good.
Yeah. So
all right, let's close it off.
Yeah, let's close it off, guys. Thanks for listening. There's probably one significant change that you've noticed, which I have to highlight before we end this podcast, which is your girl Sin got a new mic. She sounds amazing.
I don't sound like Shy Ronnie no more.
Clap it up. But yeah, no, like,
No, that old mic was horrible. I was like, you were like so loud, and I was like,
hey
microphone
guys.
speaking. Hey guys, my name is Sal. Talking about the marketing stuff, and I got a
Yeah.
lot of chutzpah.
Now you still sound loud even doing that.
Yo, this mic.
Yeah,
Shout out to Shore. Shore mics. You want to
yeah,
sponsor
sure.
us?
Sponsor us.
Sponsor us,
Sponsor us. Let's do it.
please.
But yeah, hope you guys found this very insightful. Um, those are my ending words. I'm proud. I'm happy that you got a new mic.
Thank you.
And yeah, do you have anything to say?
I do have a couple of things to say. I just want to incentivize you all to have chutzpah in everything that you do, you know? Not just in marketing, if you're like in branding,
Yep.
if you're just don't be afraid to test, don't be afraid to rules are this is my philosophy and I know this is like so millennial and like, well, rules are there to understand and to honor, but they're also there to break. Like
Yeah.
with everything that you do. Those are my last words. And then finally, like if you guys found anything super insightful from this episode, let us know, comment on it, you know, give us some ratings on this Spotify or whatever you're listening for on
Yeah.
YouTube. If you're listening
Wherever.
to us on YouTube, wherever, you know, like give us some I don't know, how did they do that? They rate us. We'll figure it out. We'll
Yeah.
send you a link eventually. But
Marketers.
yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll
Problem
Google it out.
solvers.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you all for listening. I appreciate each and every one of you, all 13 of you that listen. We got to start somewhere, you know? This is going to be a big,
You
this is
gotta
going to be the
start.
best. I
Yeah, you
claim
gotta
it.
start small.
You got to start
But
small.
we're definitely gonna take over DJ Khaled stuff. Um, but yeah, guys, thanks a lot for listening, and definitely have the word that I cannot say that Cynthia just said a while ago.
Chutzpah.
Yeah, I can't say it, and we can't wait to see you in the next episode.
Take care,
Peace.
guys. See you later.